So basically, a couple of days ago, actually, if you look at the date on the bottom left-hand corner, Big Game Boomer came out with their current bowl projections. Now, mind you, the bowl season, well, not the bowl season, but the college football season on the FBS, on the FBS college football playoff level, has yet to start, along with the FCS, but still, it is yet to start. But you already have Big Game Boomer, who's been known to do this apparently in the past, coming out and making the announcement or projections, basically announcement projections on who they see being in all the bowl games. Now remember, this is all the bowl games they know of right now. Doesn't mean there won't be another bowl game added on. And when I look at this, I say to myself, and I'm sure anybody else watching this or look at this and they're saying to themselves, we get where he's coming from. We understand we get where Big Game Boomer is coming from. The basing what they're seeing off, the results from last year when the talent, not the talent, but these schools actually made bowl games and everything with the records that they did. So they're looking at basically these teams here that are listed. They look at them as improving on that, basically saying, okay, this is going to be the next step that they see these teams going this year. Now, for all they know, some of these teams could be going this route, but they could also basically be going. They could also be going, a different route. Like they could be ineligible. They could be, playoff bound, part of the New Year's Six, if you will, and so on. So, he put these together, and I want to read these off to you, and let's see if you guys agree with them in any shape or form. Now, the season officially doesn't start until a week from Saturday, which will be the 26th. And the games slated for that day are Navy at Notre Dame and San Jose State at USC. So that's Southern Cal. So, basically that is when the new season begins, and then it gets into full swing on the 31st, which is my older sister's birthday, and then of course on the 2nd, which is several days later. So anyway, though, who do they see? Just based off what they're predicting here, and based off apparently the runs that these teams had last year, who are they predicting? And again, based off my opinion, what happened last year, if you will. Who do they see? Well, with the Bahamas Bowl, they see basically Army, I think that's Army, and Louisiana Tech. That's who they project as of right now to open the bowl season, right off the bat. In the Cure Bowl, they see Coastal Carolina and Syracuse in the Cure Bowl. In the Fenway Bowl, they see Boston College, SMU. In the New Mexico Bowl, they see New Mexico State and Wyoming. In the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, they see Arizona, San Diego State. What's that one? What is that? SB Ventures? SB Ventures? What? Can't, yeah, I think that's what it says. SB Ventures or something like that. Hold on, guys. I'm going to increase this just so I can see something real quickly. Oh, 68 Ventures. Oh, yeah, 68 Ventures. But yeah, let me straighten this out. There we go. Okay, get it back in there. All right. But yeah, 68 Ventures. They see the Buffalo Bison. I think that's who it is. And Who's the other team? Let me check, guys. Again, I do apologize. Let me see who the team is. Let me see who the team is. I do apologize. Oops, that's I didn't want to do that. Hold on. Let me just put this up a little bit. Southern Alabama. Oh, okay. So let's fix that again. Do apologize. Yeah, I do apologize. So we're gonna fix this a bit again. Put it back down here. There we go. Fix it a little bit more. There we go. But yeah, they predict basically in the 68 Ventures Bowl, Buffalo Bison and South Alabama Jaguars. In the Las Vegas Bowl, they're projecting Purdue and UCLA. In the Frisco Bowl, they're looking at East Carolina and UConn. In the Myrtle Beach Bowl, they're looking at Northern Illinois and Georgia Southern. In the Idaho Potato Bowl, they're looking at Air Force and Toledo. In the Boca Raton Bowl, they're looking at Marshall and Ohio. In the New Orleans Bowl, they're looking at Louisiana and Troy. Oh, not Louisiana, but looking at Liberty and Troy. That's who they're looking at. Looking at Liberty and Troy. In the Armed Forces Bowl, they're looking at Tulane and Western Kentucky. In the Independence Bowl, they're looking at UCF and Washington State. In the Gasparilla Bowl, they're looking at Mississippi State, Miami U, University of Miami. In the Hawaii Bowl, they're looking at Memphis and Fresno State. In the Quick Lane Bowl, they're looking at Michigan State and Ball State. In the Camellia Bowl, they're looking at Appalachian State in Eastern Michigan. In the First Responder Bowl, they're looking at Florida Atlantic and TCU. In the Birmingham Bowl, they're looking at, it looks like Vanderbilt and UAB. In the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, they're looking at Baylor and Minnesota. In the Military Bowl, they're looking at UTSA, Texas San Antonio, against Virginia Tech. In the Liberty Bowl, they're looking at a long-awaited cross-border rematch, Sunflower State rematch between Missouri and Kansas. In the Texas Bowl, they're looking at Arkansas and Oklahoma. In the Pinstripe Bowl, they're looking at Illinois, Louisville. In the Pop Top Bowl, yes, we got a Pop Top Bowl. Apparently, I think that was the Texas Bowl at one point, but the Pop Top Bowl, they're looking at Notre Dame in Texas. In the Alamo Bowl, they're looking at Kansas State and Utah. In the Duke Mayo Bowl, they're looking at Kentucky and North Carolina. In the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, they're looking at North Carolina State and Oregon. In the Gator Bowl, they're looking at Duke and Ole Miss. In the Barstool Bowl, which is basically in the Barstool Network from Arizona, they're looking at San Jose State and Miami of Ohio. Then the Music City Bowl, they're looking at Texas A&M, Wisconsin. In the Wheelcrest Bowl, which used to be the Outback Bowl, they're looking at South Carolina and Maryland. In the Citrus, they're looking at Tennessee, Iowa. In the Holiday Bowl, they're looking at Pitt and Oregon State. In the Cotton Bowl, they're looking at USC, Boise State. In the Fiesta Bowl, they're looking at Washington, LSU. In the Peach, they're looking at Texas Tech, Alabama. In the Orange Bowl, they're looking at Ohio State, Clemson. And then in the playoff games, the playoff bowls, they're looking at the Sugar Bowl being Georgia, Penn State. The Rose Bowl being Florida State, Michigan. And then in a rematch from this previous year, they're looking at Georgia and Michigan for the national title. Now, I'm not going to sit here and not say Big Game Boomer won't be on the money. Because for all we know, if he was a betting man and all this came to pass, by the end of the college football season, he'd be a very rich man. But honestly, this is just projections based on, the performance that, these schools had a season ago, in all the conferences. So the way he's looking at it, he's seeing, like, I used to live in Kansas. I used to live in in Lawrence, Kansas, in college town of Lawrence, Kansas. He's looking at the Jayhawks making a return to the Liberty Bowl, but this time they will, instead of Arkansas, they're going to take on um, Missouri. They're going to take on Missouri and all that. And we do have a Texas Bowl. I just didn't notice it. So the Pop Top Bowl has to be something new. As a matter of fact, let me look that up. Just real quickly, so I can figure out what bowl game that was, or is it something totally new? I know what it is. It's going to be played at the Citrus Bowl, and it's going to be played at the Citrus Bowl. It's not the Citrus Bowl though. It was the Cheez-It Bowl. That's what it was. So, okay, so what they're projecting basically is Notre Dame and Texas in what was formerly the Cheez-It Bowl, now the Pop Top Bowl. But yeah, basically going back to what I was saying. Let me get some water here. No, but basically what they're saying, because again, I lived in Lawrence, Kansas for several years. They're saying that Kansas is going to have another bowl trip, and this time it's going to be against Missouri, basically reigniting a year before, apparently, or 2 years before, they'll be able to do it again, reigniting that, Sunflower State, rivalry, if you will. Well, not Sunflower State, but that, that in-state rivalry, that Sunflower rivalry, if you will. So, yeah, basically, they're projecting Missouri and Kansas to renew their rivalry once again in the Liberty Bowl this year. Well, they look at Kansas State going to the Alamo Bowl this year and taking on Utah. So yeah, they again. I'm not going to disagree with some of the projections, because some of these bowl games might just be, they just might become a reality. For all we know, they just might become, a reality. For all we know, they just might become a reality for all we know and everything. But yeah, that's the, but yeah, these are just the projections. I should say these are just the projections going into next, going into the season, if you will. These are just their projections and everything, based on, again, the performance, based on the performance that, each team had last year. Now, for them to come out and say that Kansas State's going to basically be in the Alamo Bowl, to me that's a big drop from a New Year's Six Bowl. Not much of a drop, but for them to say, hey, they're going to go from facing, Alabama to facing Utah, again, nothing against that, nothing against that or anything, but it's like, you're basically saying that, I don't think this team is going to make it all the way. I don't think this team is going to be the success they once were, if you will. And then for them to say that TCU, who was in the national championship, and yeah, they got stomped, there's no doubt. For them to say that TCU is going to go from the national championship to the First Responder Bowl, that is a big drop. That to me is a big drop. But again, this is just your projections. They're just basing it on what they saw, the performance that they saw, in throughout the previous season and even in the bowl games themselves. So, so he might be right, he might be wrong. I'm assuming why he's putting TCU against Florida Atlantic in the First Responder Bowl is because, he probably doesn't think that even if they get back to where they were, it's going to be a repeat once all over again. It'll be a repeat, one more time. But, all right. Be right back. like I was saying, I'm not going to say these projections are not going to be accurate or anything. Some of them might be right on the money, but for him to drop TCU to a bowl game that could be like in the second or third week, of the bowl season, you know, that's that's a big you know, you know, big drop of confidence, if you know what I mean. Like I said, I have nothing against that, but like I said, for him to, drop TCU from being in the national championship, even though they got annihilated the way they did, to basically saying, yeah, this year I think you're going to be the first responders bowl. Big lack of confidence, big drop of confidence on them. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Now I want to correct myself. I said there was going to be a rematch for the national title. Yeah, it's going to be a rematch according to what this guy says, but it's going to be a rematch from 2 seasons ago. That's what he's looking at. He's looking at the fact that this year's national championship will be a rematch from 2 seasons ago. So that's what he's projecting. But again, for him to drop Kansas State to the Alamo Bowl, for him to drop TCU, you know, from from the national titles to where he believes they're going to be, that's like a big drop of confidence and everything. Not believing that they would make it, to that point. So yeah, that's like a big thumbs down apparently. Now I know some people might say, well, if you think about it, he might be from SEC country, so he might be more in favor of a Georgia and an Alabama, and then and that might be true. I mean, if he is from SEC country, and seeing what both schools did to to Kansas State and to TCU individually, yeah, I don't blame him for thinking, yeah, there's no way that these guys could match up with us, so I don't think they're going to make it this far this year. I think they'll make it to this point, and that's it. And if that's the case, it's fine. You if that's the case, um, that's fine. But I think he has to realize, that basically, these projections, again, like I said, they may not become a reality. They may not. These projections might just be, fantasy. For all we know, they might be fantasy. Again, I'm not saying that none of them won't come to reality. Some might be on the money, but I just do not see a lot of these coming to fruition. And I don't think anybody watching or listening thinks that either. Um, but but again, this is just his opinion. And again, if he is somebody from SEC country and he's showing favoritism towards University of Georgia and University of Alabama, you know, I'm not against that. I'm not against that. It would be like me. I live here in Pac-12 country. Pac-12 Mountain West country. I lived in Big 12 country. Okay. So so for me, I would probably feel the same way, saying, "Oh, these SEC or Big Ten schools, they don't stand a chance." So I'd probably be the same way. I'm not denying that. I don't think any of us, watching or listening, would deny that either. So so honestly, I get maybe why he would say this, whether or not he is from SEC country, but basing it. But again, what I see honestly is him just basing this off the performance from last season and the performance in the bowl games, and where he sees a lot of these teams heading this year after the 2023-2024 season's over. Regular season that is over. So I don't blame him on that. I mean, if he sees San Jose State against Miami of Ohio in the Bolster Bowl, that's his opinion. If he sees, the Sunflower rivalry, the border war. That's what I was looking for. The word I was looking for: border war between Kansas and Missouri happening in Liberty Bowl this year. Then so be it. But we'll just have to just wait and see what happens. And I'm sure he's not the only one that has projections on where he sees certain teams going in bowl games this year. But again, we'll just have to wait see what happens, and just let it, just let the season carry on, and see what schools will make it. Some of these schools may not even become bowl eligible before the year is out, but we'll see. Again, if he feels La Tech and Army are going to kick off the bowl season, fine. If you believe South Alabama and Buffalo are going to be in the 68 Ventures Bowl, so be it. If he believes Kansas State and Utah are going to be in the Alamo Bowl, so be it. If he believes, the Cotton Bowl is going to be USC and Boise State, and the Fiesta Bowl is going to be Washington, LSU, so be it. That's his opinion. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Check me out at my Teespring store. Also check me out at BW Russell's Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast platforms except for Pandora, but more specifically on Spotify. That helps me out a lot. And guys, let me know what your thoughts are. How do you feel? Do you agree? And until next time, I'm out.